The morning sun poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Kessington mansion, but the light did little to warm the coldness that had settled inside its walls. Alan Kessington, one of the wealthiest tech magnates in the country, stood in the hallway outside his twins' therapy room, his jaw tight, his chest heavy. His 8-year-old twins, Joran and Leora, born with severe mobility disabilities, had been retreating deeper into silence for months. Their laughter was gone, their confidence shaken, and their progress slipping backward. Alan had hired the best therapists, nutritionists, and private teachers money could buy, yet nothing was working. Something was wrong. Something he couldn't see. Something he couldn't control, and so, in desperation, and with a heart already bruised by guilt and fear, he installed a hidden camera in the therapy wing, hoping to uncover why his children were suffering, yet never imagining the truth he would soon witness with his own eyes. That if you're watching this and believe kindness deserves a second chance in this world, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Tales. Your support helps these powerful stories reach more hearts. From the very beginning, Alan's life had been a storm. His success had come from long nights, unforgiving deals, fierce decisions, and trust that shattered more often than it held. The mansion around him was grand but hollow, echoing with empty luxury. His wife had passed away when the twins were only 4, and all the warmth she carried left with her. He tried to fill that void with money, professionals, and routines, but nothing replaced a mother's love. And now, seeing the twins' progress deteriorate despite everything he provided made him feel like he was failing them in the one thing he vowed never to fail at, being their protector. It was around this time that the mansion's new cleaner, Marvella Adeyemi, was hired. She was a tall, warm-headed woman in her 40s, with deep brown skin, steady hands, and a quiet, gentle air about her. She didn't speak much, didn't ask questions, and didn't interfere. Alan barely noticed her. To him, she was just another staff member, someone behind the scenes, unseen, unnoticed, irrelevant to the bigger problems in his life, but that would soon change. One afternoon, after a particularly difficult therapy session where both twins refused to move or make eye contact with anyone, Alan's jaw clenched with a frustration he couldn't express. He stormed out of the room, feeling both helpless and heartbreakingly distant from the children he loved more than anything. They were pulling away from the world, and he could do nothing to stop it. That night, unable to sleep, he poured himself a glass of scotch and wandered through the dim mansion hallways until he reached the surveillance room. The red dot on the screen indicated the newly installed camera was active. He hesitated, guilt stinging him. What kind of father spies on his own children? But love mixed with desperation leaves little room for pride. He clicked the video feed. The timestamp showed earlier that afternoon, after the therapist had left the room and the children remained seated alone in silence. Joran stared at the wall, Leora fidgeted anxiously with the hem of her shirt. The video was painfully still. But then, Marvella entered, her cleaning cart rolling softly beside her. At first, Alan expected her to tidy the room and leave, but she paused when she noticed the twins. She knelt down slowly, not intrusively, not with forced enthusiasm, but with a gentle, respectful presence as though she were stepping into a sacred space. The sight made Alan lean closer toward the screen. Instead of cleaning immediately, Marvella sat cross-legged on the floor, keeping a safe distance so she wouldn't overwhelm them. She placed her hands softly on her lap, and in a calm, warm tone, she began to hum, not a song Alan recognized, but something melodic, soothing, almost ancient. Slowly, Leora looked up. Joran blinked. The twins listened. Marvella didn't push them. She simply hummed until their shoulders relaxed. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out 2 tiny handmade wooden toys, one a carved bird, the other a small boat. She set them gently on the mat in front of the children and whispered softly, "My grandmother made toys like these for me when I was scared. Maybe they can help you too." The twins stared at the toys with something Alan hadn't seen in them for months, curiosity. Joran reached first, shaking fingers lifting the little bird. Leora followed, brushing her thumb across the boat's smooth edges. The twins didn't speak, but their eyes softened. Then Marvella did something that brought tears burning to the back of Alan's eyes. She scooted a bit closer and began guiding them through a simple movement game, lifting arms like wings, tilting side to side like the waves. She made gentle sound effects, soft enough not to startle them. And to Alan's shock, the twins mimicked her, raising their arms slowly, smiling. For the first time in weeks, Alan paused the video, breath trembling. He replayed that moment again. And again. Each time, he saw something new: trust, warmth, a connection he had failed to give them in his grief and fear. A connection built by the very woman he had overlooked entirely. The next day, he observed quietly from the hallway. Again, after therapy ended, the twins waited silently. And again, Marvella came, not as a therapist, not as an employee, but as someone who deeply cared. She didn't know anyone was watching. She wasn't doing it for praise or approval. She simply loved helping them. She sang soft Nigerian lullabies, taught them small breathing exercises she said helped calm the heart, and even improvised little games using cleaning cloths, making them flutter like butterflies. The twins adored her. Their eyes followed her, their bodies relaxed around her, their confidence peeked out like new blossoms breaking through frozen ground. Over the next week, Alan watched every interaction. Each one more beautiful, more unexpected than the last, but one moment broke him entirely. Late one afternoon, the therapist had left early. Joran struggled to lift himself from his wheelchair as part of his routine, his arms trembled, tears forming. Leora panicked when she saw him struggle. Both children were spiraling, and then Marvella rushed in. She crouched beside Joran, placing her steady hands near him, not touching, just offering support. "You don't have to be strong all at once, baby," she whispered. "Strength comes in breaths, not battles." One breath, then another. Joran tried again, reaching for the bar beside him, and this time, he lifted himself half an inch higher than before. Leora clapped. Joran laughed through tears, and Marvella, overwhelmed, pressed her hand over her heart. Alan sank into his chair, sobbing quietly as he watched the footage. He had poured millions into professional help, built a mansion full of experts, and yet this woman, with no degrees on the wall, no special training, had given his children something priceless and powerful: safety, courage, hope. That he couldn't wait another second. The next morning, he found her in the hallway dusting a portrait. When she saw him, she startled, stepping back respectfully. But Alan shook his head, unable to hide the emotion in his eyes. "Marvella, I saw what you did. All of it." Her face drained, fear sweeping across her features. "Sir, I'm sorry if I overstepped." "You didn't overstep," he said, voice cracking. "You filled a space no one else could." Tears welled in her eyes. "I just didn't want them to feel alone." Alan swallowed hard. "You gave them back their joy. Something I've been too broken to give." In that quiet moment, surrounded by polished marble floors and sunlit walls, the mansion finally felt warm again. For the first time since his wife's passing, Alan felt a glimmer of peace, because someone reminded him that healing doesn't come from perfection or wealth. It comes from kindness. That he asked Marvella to become the twins' official caregiver, with full pay and more. She resisted at first, shaken by the sudden honor, but Alan insisted, "My children trust you. And I trust anyone they trust." Weeks passed, and under Marvella's loving guidance, the twins flourished. They smiled more. They moved more. They spoke more. And slowly, Alan joined their sessions, learning from Marvella how to connect again, how to feel again, how to love without fear. And one sunny afternoon in the therapy room, filled with laughter, little wooden toys, and the soft scent of lavender, Joran whispered, for the first time in over a year, "Daddy, I'm happy." Leora echoed softly, "Me too." Alan broke, pulling them both into his arms. And behind them, Marvella wiped a quiet tear and whispered, "Strength comes in breaths, remember?"